What's the one thing that separates high elo players from low elo players? Most people think it's insane game sense, perfect utility usage, or flawless teamwork, but that's a huge misconception. Take a look at the top streamers. These guys forget to buy, forget to comm, tab out mid-game, and even slap their webcams for fun. They are trolling, and yet they still reach top 100 on the leaderboard every act. Meanwhile, you've been trying your hardest, communicating, grinding for hours, trying to get your teammates to listen to your calls, and you're still stuck in low elo. So what's going wrong? High elo players understand the one rule that low elo players consistently ignore, especially ones that seek out educational content like this. It's that mechanics are everything when it comes to climbing in Valorant. So I'm a top 2000 Immortal 3 player, and after coaching lots of you guys, I've realised people massively undervalue mechanics while overvaluing game sense. I'm currently offering coaching in my Discord, so if you want one-to-one help with improving at Valorant, you can sign up and get a VOD review. And if you check the testimonial channel in my Discord, you can see examples of people I've helped before, like this student who went from Plat 1 to Diamond in just 2 weeks. If that sounds helpful, then click the link in the description to join my Discord. So, why do some people have this belief that game sense is more important than mechanics? I think it's a combination of coping and a lack of confidence in their own ability. People want to believe they can watch a few YouTube guides and have a full understanding of the game that's going to allow them to rank up. It's much easier for someone's ego to think, well, I knew what the right play was, the enemy just did something stupid and my teammates didn't listen to my calls, than it is for them to admit that the mechanics are just bad and the reason they can't climb is because they are worse at getting kills than the other people in the lobby. For people who don't have confidence in their own ability or have convinced themselves they're just bad and will be bad forever, telling them that improving their mechanics and getting more kills per game is the best way to climb can be daunting compared to telling them that they can just watch a lineup video and a shot calling guide to have impact in their games. So why should we focus on mechanics instead of game sense to rank up? The reason why game sense is a bad thing to focus on in low elo is because of the unpredictability of enemies and teammates. Since everyone's understanding of the game is bad, people consistently do things that don't make sense and that you can't expect no matter how many VOD reviews you do or how many tip videos you watch. There is no point of learning things like KO flash lineups to support your team when your teammates are not only bad but also have no idea how to play in a team environment. The chances that your teammate swings as soon as the flash pops are low. The chance that they overcommit and greed after getting a kill when they could just dash away are high. You could have actually made a good play by flashing the entire enemy team in higher elo that would lead to you winning the round 90% of the time, because your Jet is a good player who knows his limits. In low elo, however, this win rate is lowered by a lot, and the most consistent play is almost always to rely on your own mechanics to brute force your way to wins. The reason for this is that our mechanics are actually the most consistent thing that we can take into every game we play, or at least they are much more consistent than the variability of the enemy team or our own team. In our previous example, why would we choose to play the supportive role when instead we could be the one swinging and getting the kills instead of just praying that our Jet has hands and will get the kills for us? Valorant is a tactical shooter, but people put way too much emphasis on the tactical part and not enough on the shooting. The enemy team does not consist of robots copying VCT players. It consists of regular people who just got back from school or work, tired, stressed, tilted, doing stupid plays that you cannot predict. And the exact same thing applies to your teammates. Without a doubt, the most consistent way to climb through these ranks is by brute forcing wins and cutting through all of the stupidity by having superior mechanics. So, what are the main mechanics we should focus on improving, and how do we actually improve them? The 4 mechanics I tell my students to focus on to get more kills each game are raw aim, movement, gun control, and crosshair placement. Now, I could do entire videos on each of these mechanics, and if you'd like that, let me know in the comments. But in this video, I'm going to give one high impact piece of advice for each of them to help you improve. So to improve your raw aim in an efficient way, I would recommend playing aim trainers and specifically the Voltaic Valorant benchmarks on Aim Labs. This is a specific set of scenarios used to assess the different types of aim that Valorant rewards. And look, I'm not one of those aim training nerds, but this worked well for me, so that's why I'm sharing it. I started on the novice section and went through all of the scenarios until I got platinum complete. After that, I moved on to the intermediate section, and my initial placements were all between platinum and ascendant. I then spammed all of the scenarios that I didn't reach ascendant in and brought them up to that rank, and now I'm sitting on ascendant complete. I'd recommend you repeat this process I just laid out for yourself, trying to reach new high ranks. It doesn't need to be ascendant or immortal complete, but push yourself to beat your previous high scores. Doing this for just 20 minutes per day before or after a playing session will improve your raw aim faster than you expect, and it worked really well for me. Now, when I talk about movement, I'm mainly talking about two things: peeking and strafing. In basic terms, peeking is movement that happens before a gunfight starts, and strafing is movement that happens in the middle of a fight. Both are super important, but I'm going to focus on strafing in this video, and if you'd like a dedicated video for peeking, let me know. I have a drill I share with my students that allows us to practice gun control and strafing at the same time, so let's go in game and I'll show you. So for this drill, you want to come over to the target, and what this drill does is it allows us to practice three things: our recoil, our gun accuracy after shooting, and our gun accuracy after moving. So I set it to 20 meters, and we're going to practice with 2, 3 and 4 bursts, but let's start with 2. So step 1 is just getting the recoil down, so 2 bursts, make sure you get every shot in the middle. I'm moving, but you can stand still. There's no point to move on this step. So just 2 bursts in the middle. Once you've got that down, that's when we add in movement. So I just stand here, yeah, then just add a little bit of movement in. So I'm gonna 2 burst, strafe, 2 burst, strafe, just like that. And I'm doing this slow. This is just so that like we get used to moving after shooting. And then step 3, we start speeding up, and this makes you extremely hard to hit for the enemy team. So 2 burst, move. I missed one there, but it's fine. And if you notice, I'm mixing up my strafes too. So here I'm just going all in one direction. Here I'm doing it back and forth, And what your goal is, you want to do this as fast as like humanly possible, as fast as the game allows you to. You want to know the exact timing of when your gun's accurate, not only after shooting, but after moving. And so we can do the same thing with 3 bursts as well. I'll just do this quickly. So step 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we add in movement. Then we speed it up. The final mechanic I tell my students to focus on is crosshair placement. Now, crosshair placement is fairly simple. It's placing your crosshair in the position you think the enemy's head will be when either you or they peek. Basically, you want your crosshair to be as close to their head as possible at the moment when they arrive on your screen. The best way to practice crosshair placement is by playing deathmatches with the Guardian, and I'll explain why. With the Guardian, the only reliable way to get kills versus people with Vandals is via headshots. This means that if you want to have success in deathmatches, you are forced to have good crosshair placement. Now, because DMs are so action-packed compared to comp games, this drill will teach you to not be lazy with your crosshair placement, which is a common problem I see in lower ranked players. It's also going to teach you the layout of the maps in the comp pool, and over time you're going to learn where your crosshair should be on every single angle on every single map. It even teaches you a little bit about gun control, because with the Guardian, your first bullet counts, and you don't have the luxury of missing a few bullets and then spraying like you do with the Vandal. So, playing mechanically well is the number one thing that will help you climb in Valorant. But second on that list is your mindset. Without the right mindset, you will struggle to improve at all, no matter how bad you think you want to be a high elo player. If you want to learn how to fix your mindset, click this video to see how I brainwashed myself to be high elo.